Welcome to a video about a Mauser competitor, the Astra Model 900. Hi there, Cycle Camp here, and I know it's been a long time, but here's another firearm related video. Today we are looking at a broom handle, but it is not, unfortunately, a C-96 Mauser. This is the Astra Model 900, which is a Mauser C-96 clone. It's very much a work-like. It's a functional copy of the C-96. Most of the stuff in the upper portion of the firearm here is the same, but some of the parts in the receiver have been simplified. The Astra 900, there were about 21,000 of them made from 1928 until into the late 1930s. It is a semi-automatic short action pistol. It has a 10-round capacity and an internal magazine that's loaded with stripper clips through the top. And these were primarily made to get around China's restriction back in the day. China was not allowed to import military firearms, but they didn't consider pistols military firearms, even if you could mount a stock to the back. So Mauser was selling C-96s like hotcakes, and our friends in Astra, which is un cita un campafile in Guerrerica, Spain, decided to get into the act. The Astra comes in a couple of different models. This is the first model, the 900. The 900 is a semi-auto only pistol. It was followed afterwards with a 10-round capacity. It was followed afterwards by a semi and full automatic, a selectable fire, called the 901. Then and it was really fast. It had a 900 round per minute count, so blip, and it was empty. So they came up with the 902, which was basically the same gun with an extension to hold another 10 rounds. So you got 20 rounds, semi and full. So I'm sorry. So the 900 is semi only. The 901 is semi and full with 10 rounds. The 902 has 20 rounds. Then they came up with the 903, which had removable magazines, and you could have a 10 or a 20 round magazine. And then they came out with the 904, and in the 904 they put a rate reduction mechanism in the full automatic side, which dropped the full automatic rate from 900 rounds a minute to about 350 rounds a minute. All of these guns were chambered in 7.63 by 25 Mauser, and we'll talk about that some more in just a minute. Except for the 904. Now, I've seen this as either the E or the F model. I've seen F more often, so I assume it's probably F. And that one was chambered in 9mm Largo, which is just a large 9 in Spanish. Quite a few of these went to China. They went to a lot of different places. This was an inexpensive alternative to the C-96. And people really liked it. Some were sold to Germany, however. When Germany invaded France, they sold about 1,000 of these to Germany. But this is not one of those. This, as far as I can tell, this was a commercially sold. Never went out of the country until it was imported here into the United States. This gun is kind of rough. It's had better days, but I thought it would be interesting for us to take a look. So before we start with the firearm, let's talk a little bit about the bullet that it takes. This is the 7.63 by 25 Mauser. It is a bottlenecked cartridge. It is based on the 7.65mm Borchardt. It is the original. This round was made for the C-96 Mauser pistol. It headspaces on the shoulder. It headspaces off the shoulder. And it actually served as the basis for the 7.62 Tokarev. In fact, the only major difference between the 7.63 and the 7.62 Tokarev is that the Tokarev uses more powder. You can, in fact, use a 7.63 Mauser in a 7.62 Tokarev. However, you can't go the other way. The C-96 and the Astra 900 are not pressure tested for the added powder, the faster powder that's in the Tokarev cartridge. So that's some interesting stuff about that. This was a fairly powerful round at the time. This was one of the most powerful pistol rounds around at the time. So that was pretty neat stuff. Okay, so let's move to the markings on this gun. Now I know this is going to be really hard to see, and I apologize in advance because my camera work really stinks. But let's take a look at what's here. So there are 3 lines, which I know are very difficult to see, but there are 3 lines on this. Let me get it in frame here. There are 3 lines in this guy, and the 3 line markings came about later on in the manufacturing. Originally there was only 1, and this first line, way up here at the top, says Astra automatic pistol caliber, and then it has the pistol caliber 7 with the 6.3 kind of like a superscript, next to it. So you can see the 7, and then that's a 6.3 underneath it. And then the second line says patented July 12th, 1928, but that's not the date of this pistol, but it's patented 1928. And then the third line, which is almost impossible to read, says Unceta, UNCETA, E, Compafile, COMPAFILE, and Guerrica, GUERRICA, and then in parentheses the word Spain, which you might be able to make out the word Spain, but probably not. But that's basically what that says. The only other interesting marking, or 2 other interesting markings on this, is way down here is the serial number, which again is very faint and very difficult to read, but it is, the serial number is, I wrote it down here, hold on a minute, 22581 is the serial number. The other thing that's interesting is right here, this little mark right here. This is a disassembly mark, and we'll use that a little later when we partially disassemble the firearm. So that's basically what's going on the the left-hand face of the firearm is what's out there. Okay, so if we flip it over, we have some marks on the receiver. Okay, and I'm not sure how well you can see them, but this is a shield with an X on it, and above it there is the outline of a armored head looking towards the left, facing off towards the left. And that is the mark when it received by the proof house. IBAR, EIBAR, that's the Spanish proof house. So that's the first mark you see on it. The second mark you see on it is an L with an asterisk over the L. So there's an asterisk here and then an L here. And that is the proof date of the firearm. It's the year. And asterisk with an L underneath it is the proof year of 1939. Okay? Then next to it there is a bomb, kind of a symbol. There you go, I can see it now. There's a bomb with a little P in it, and then there's a little flame on top of the bomb. Okay, that is the actual proof mark that shows that it was actually proofed. And that proof mark was the proof test for an automatic pistol, and that was used after the 14th of December 1929. Now you see that proof mark here on the receiver. You also see it on this area of the slide. So you've got that same proof mark here in that area of the slide, and you've got it on the barrel part, on the top. It's actually all one piece, so I don't know why I called it the slide, but it's, pretty much all the barrel is, all that stuff is all one piece. So those 3 proof marks are all part of this. Now, one of the things that's interesting on this right side of the gun is you'll notice all these pins that are sticking out from the right hand side. Well, these pins, this is how you tell the difference right at first blush between an Astra and an actual C-96, because the C-96 does not have any pins that travel through and come out through the side plate of the right hand side plate. So if you see pins like these, you know you're looking at an Astra. Okay, so that's basically what's going on with that. On the top of the gun, we have the tangent sights. Now the tangent sights are optimistically marked out to 1,000 meters. Yeah, right. Really far accuracy for this gun is going to be about 500 meters, and reasonable accuracy would probably be closer to 250 or 3. But that's how they marked them. What are you going to do? And it's just your standard. You know, you've got the button on the right side of the leaf, and you slide it forward, and that operates the tangent sights. The actual sights themselves are not too bad to look at. You can see the nice little V in the top there, cut in the rear sight, and I'm trying to do this backwards because I'm doing this under a what do you call it, a camera. So you can see the front notch is pretty straightforward to see. Get that in there, so not too bad. So that's basically what's on the top of this. So we talked about the markings on the left, the markings on the right. It has a 5.5 inch barrel, which is a pretty much standard barrel, 5.5 inch barrel. Oh, and it also has all of the 900s were made with and came with the wooden shoulder stocks that you actually, it was a combination of the gun case and the shoulder stock, and so this has the cut in it for the shoulder stock. And that area there at the bottom, that's a little depression where it snaps in, where the pin snaps in to lock it on there. This one does not have a ring, like a cavalry ring or a single point sling ring. So I've seen them both ways. Not really sure what's going on with that. But that's basically all the markings on the gun. It's pretty straightforward. Not much going on here. Okay, I did miss one set of marks on the gun, and it's very, very difficult to see this with the lighting that I have, but there is a set of import marks, and the top line reads Cal 763 Spain, and then underneath it is the importer, and of course the importer in this time was our buddies CAI. That's Century Arms International, and then it's got STADL, ALB, ALB VT for Vermont. So CAI, and I apologize, this is really terrible camera work here, but CAI, Saint ALB in Vermont, was the importer, and of course they had to mark the gun. So they marked it in little tiny letters on the barrel, and you know, just very hard to see, so sorry about that. But now the way this gun operates, I'm not going to go into great detail on how the gun operates. If you really want to see a good video on how the gun operates, go watch Ian's Forgotten Weapons video on the Model 900. He's going to take it apart farther than I'm going to. But the basic object of the game is this whole upper, let me pull the trigger back, and it is, obviously this is empty, there's nothing in here, there's nothing, you know, so it's safe. But you see this front, the whole top of this can slide back just a hair, and basically what happens is there's a locking block inside the slide, and the bolt and the slide, when the gun goes off, they move back together. And once they get here, there's a cam that drops out of the top and allows the bolt to continue moving backwards. So the bolt can then continue to move backwards like this, and that ejects the round and picks up the new round. So it's a very simple mechanism, very sturdy. And I'll tell you, this I can see why people love these things, because if you'll notice the way this is made with this broom handle, comes way up underneath the trigger. So there's a huge cutout here in back of the trigger guard, and it's really, you can get your fingers in there really nice. Your top finger gets in there great, and it's a very nice feeling gun. And this one actually has a fairly decent trigger on it. It's pretty decent. I hope to shoot it. I don't know if I'll make that part of this video, but I do hope to shoot it, because that's what I bought the ammunition for. Just one more thing on the ammunition, just to show you. This is the box of ammunition that I found, and you can see this thing. This has had better days, but it is a Remington, the old Remington clean bore with the green and red case with the white lettering. It's got this tape is like original to when I bought it. But it was there and you could buy it, so I can't wait to try it out and see how it works. But that's basically what we're going to be shooting the next time I go out with this. Okay, so let's talk about taking it apart. This has a much easier disassembly than the real C-96 does. So let's see. I got some stuff in the way here. Hold on. Okay, so let's see what we got. So we have these pins, right, that stick all the way through the case. So the main disassembly pin, if you follow the ridge at the bottom of the sliding part of the action, there's a pin at the very end. Well, that comes out from right to left. So we're going to push on the right side, pop out the left side. And that's what this mark on the left side of the receiver is for. If you line the safety up with that, then you can push this pin out. Okay, and this pin, of course I'm going to, give me a second here. I just need to take some pressure off the gun. Okay, so here's the pin, and you'll notice the pin has a serial number on it, 581, and that is numbers with the firearm. I don't think the entire firearm is all numbered matching. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not all numbered matching. But anyway, so you pull that pin out, and then this top panel here in the left side of the receiver, you see this little finger notch in the end. You just grab it and slide it back, and now you've exposed most of the guts of the firearm. Now, and you can see here, this also has, I believe, yeah, this also has a 581 on it. So that's numbers matching as well. Matches more than I thought. Okay, here's our safety. Not much going on here. The only thing that keeps the safety in is the pressure of the side plate. This gun is really old, so this is worn. The top of the safety is worn, and I don't want to try flexing this at all. I have tried bending this tab just a tiny bit, but you know it's hardened, and if you bend it, it's going to break. So you just have to deal with the fact that it's not a very good safety. Now, if you wanted to take the rest of this apart, basically, well, I'll tell you what, I'll take it apart for you, but I don't guarantee that I can get it back together. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do, because I'm lazy, is we're going to, this pin here, so we're looking at the bottom of the gun, and we have the magazine, right? The bottom of the magazine, the heel plate of the magazine is held in with a pin, so you just push the button in and try to pull the pin out. So there you go. I mean, you push the button in and then you slide the magazine plate out a little bit, and then the magazine, the nice little Z-shaped spring, you know, big metal flat spring, and the follower just pops right out, and that'll take off some of the pressure when we go to take the rest of this apart. So now, if you want to remove the top part of the gun, you've got another. Oops, sorry. You got a pin that falls out all by itself. That pin fell out from here, so just above the grip. So we'll just set that aside. Okay. So you can push this other pin out, and again, if you have to, this is the bearing. This pin is what keeps the top of the gun, the slide part of the gun in. So you really have to kind of take the pressure off of that when you go to get rid of it. So let's try it again. You should be able to just easier if you cock it. So all right, so we'll push that back again a little bit, and there we go. And now we've pulled that pin out. Now that last pin that we pulled out, it's really nice because it has one side of it is rounded and the other side is flat, and so it's almost like a bullet shape, and you can't put it in wrong. you've got to put it in that way or it won't sit flush. Now my understanding is, yeah, look at that. Now you should be able to just separate the frame lower from the frame upper. Okay, and that's pretty much it. There really isn't much more going on here. You can remove the firing pin here. You can remove this firing pin and pull this wedge block out, and you can disconnect, you can disassemble, you can detail disassemble this entire top, but you don't really need to see what's going on. So basically, as we were talking about before, you see this little toggle here that drops out of the top. Well, that has these cuts in the top of it, which lock the what do we want to call it? The bolt, which locks the bolt up. Very similar to other bolt lockup mechanisms. And so what happens is when you fire this thing, it will start to travel, the whole top will start to travel backwards. And as the whole top travels backwards, this toggle will cam down a little bit like that. So it'll cam down just a little. And once it cams down, now you can release, it releases the bolt. So let me show you this. So if I put it in there, see, I can't pull the bolt now because that toggle is holding, well, if I hold it properly, that toggle holds that bolt in place. Well, I'm pulling on the loading ears here, the cocking ears. I can't move it. But as soon as it moves down just a little bit, that internal bolt releases and can come back, and that's the point at which the round is extracted. You see you might be able to see the little claw extractor here on the top. There's a little claw extractor on the top, and then it gets popped out of the gun. And that's basically how that's put together and what it does. You see in here very simple mechanisms, right? You've got the trigger operates on this part, which is the disconnector, I believe, and that pushes on the sear, and the sear releases the hammer. Can you see the sear inside? You might be able to see the sear inside. Yeah, you can. So here, the back of this, that right there, that's the sear, and that's what interfaces with. Obviously there's a cut on the hammer. So here's the hammer, and then inside there is the sear. And when I pull the trigger, it opens the sear and lets the hammer come forward. But it's very simple mechanism, quite sturdy, really nifty. Also, this is the return spring for this whole mechanism. This forces the mechanism, and I'm told, or at least in Ian's video, they said that this string is much stiffer and stronger than the spring that's in a real C-96. So that's a good thing. People like that with that. They thought that was a good thing. So that's basically it. I will try to fire this and see if it shoots at all. It doesn't, it didn't look. I did have a chance to look down the barrel of it, but I can't do that with you guys here today because it's just too hard to get on camera. But I thought you might be interested in seeing all that stuff. So let me get this up a little higher. Please excuse my mouse and all that other junk. There we go. So here are all our little parts that put this thing together, and safety and the 3 pins that we took out. So that's basically the whole 9 yards. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the Astra 900 pistol. Like I said, I highly recommend that you take a look at Ian's video on Forgotten Weapons on the Astra 900. It'll give you a lot more detail than I did, I hope. I looked this up on 4 or 5 different websites to get the information I passed on to you today. So I hope this was helpful. And you guys have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you later.